It was your favourite aircraft you wanted to go on to, but what was the role of the Tomcat when you joined the fleet?
Yeah, that because it did a transformation there.
It
It
did.
was designed as a fleet defense fighter, and even though Grumman, in their wisdom, they put in attack software in there. They actually had little buttons that you pick and change our HUD to give us an attack role. I'll be, because again, this is 60s technology. We didn't have the lantern didn't come
Yeah.
until the 90s. So, but we never trained to it. When I got to the fleet, no, our primary mission was it is. You have a fleet defense mission. You are to defend defend the fleet at all costs. So we'd be doing alert fives because at that time there still was a Soviet Union. In the Soviet Union, they'd always be sending out their bears, and they wanted to fly over the carrier, and our job was to intercept them and try to keep them away. But they'd always just we weren't at war, but it was a Cold War, and it was interesting. You go up and down, and I did. Let me see. So to answer your question, yeah, it was just a pure fighter. And the beauty about the Tomcat was, again, she was so far ahead of her time. I mean, the OG-9 radar was like,
Oh yeah.
oh my God, that thing. I remember, and then the TCS. The TCS,
Yeah.
again, 60s technology. The cockpit, you looked at it, and it was like, it's kind of digital. You actually had a
Yeah.
somewhat of a digital display one, and then of course we had the repeat of what our Rio, the OG-9 radar and
Yeah.
huge tracking and multi-targeted tracking. But then you could actually turn the TCS, and if he locks on, he can slew the TCS radar. Excuse me, the OG-9 radar to the TCS, and you can pick up. No kidding, the camera of who you're targeting,
Oh,
and get a
okay.
visual ID. And I'll tell you, here's an amazing one. We were off the coast of, and this is back in, God, I think it was '89, maybe. Yeah, I think 88 or '89.
And just to
And
clarify for this story, you were in the Tomcat A at the moment, F-14A, sorry.
yeah, Tomcat A. Yeah, yeah. At that time, that was all that was there. Is the F-18, excuse me, the F-14A, and then they came out with the A plus, which they eventually changed to the B. So it
Right.
went from, but initially they called it the F-14 A plus, and they only had two squadrons on the West Coast that just went there and they're doing the transition. Brought in, took out that crappy TF-30 engine, which is, oh my God, that
We
was
might get
just
onto that later, Mark, but carry on with your great story you were going to go into.
yeah, yeah, because that's a whole story right
It
there.
is,
So,
yes.
but bottom line is we're off the coast of Vietnam, and sure enough, they had go ahead and put Bear bombers in Vietnam, and they're launching out of Vietnam to come see the carrier. So we're sitting there, and we're just sailing. We were going to hover over Vietnam. I think we're heading to the Gulf or something, and then. What ended up happening was I was on alert five, and there's you're always in a fighter squadron. You're always at some stage of alert, and they actually had alert 60s, alert 15s, and alert fives, and you got into the cycle, and you just started, and you're always in these cycles for 4 hours. So alert 60 means that okay, you're alert 60, you got 60 minutes to be airborne, so you can just literally be in your flight suit. And that's about it, because you can race and
Hmm.
you be able to get everything and to be airborne in 60 minutes. But then suddenly, after 4 hours of doing that, you went to alert 15. So now you got to actually put the gear on, and now you stay in the red room. So now you're sitting around with all the flight gear on. Do that for 4 hours, and then after you always relieve the next station. So you've already stood alert for 8 hours, right? 60 for 4, 15 for 4. Now you do the last 4 as alert 5, and now you're in the airplane. So you're sitting in the airplane, and this is all. I mean, if there's not flight operations, there is an alert cycle. So some weird hours. Sometimes you're there like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and stuff, and you've already been up for 12 hours,
Bloody hell.
And that was one of those weird ones. And but it's during the day, we're coming down there and we're doing the cycle and we're in the cockpit. And next thing you know, we hear the, launch the alert. So, and then it becomes, believe it or not, it becomes a race, because during my time flying the Tom, there are 2 Tomcat squadrons per carrier. And so what you do is they'd have alert 5 and we'd have alert 5. Mm-hmm. And depending on the threat, they'd either launch both of them and then you'd operate as a section, or they just launch one just to take a peek, see what's going on in that one. So you never knew what was going to happen. So you always prepared for the worst, meaning it's going to just be one. And you always wanted to beat the sister squadron. We always called them Brand X. You had to beat them. So literally, when you heard launch the alert 5, and usually your sister squadron be alert right next to you. So you're sitting there as you're doing it, as you're looking at them, and you're starting, and it's a race. You feel like you're in the the Daytona 500, trying to race to get to the catapult to be shot off. But sure enough, we won the race. We get shot off, and then next thing you know, we're the only one going. And they're saying, they go, bogey, bears, boom. And they give us a vector, and we start going. And I had a great reel, and he locked him up. God, I think it was like 140 miles away. And so we said, stay arm status. Is it going to be red or free? Because we needed to know, do I need to go master arm on this thing? And what is the threat? And so we're coming in, and but they had no ID. They wanted, they weren't giving us a beyond visual range until ID. Right. And so immediately when he locked on at 140, I go, hey, quick, give me the TCS, slew it to the TCS. So boom, I switched my display up to the TCS display, and sure enough, I could see it. I could see this little dot. And so I'm trying to get some aspects to see if I can ID this thing, because we had no idea. Is this a Bear or is this a international airliner? We had no idea. So now we're just looking at the range go down, because we're going the speed of heat, trying to make this intercept we want to intercept them as far away from the carrier as possible. So we're coming up there, and sure enough, I see I'm getting down into the 100 and teens section. I was like going, and I'm trying to really looking at this thing, trying to make out. And the beauty thing about this one day was it was just crystal skies. I mean, there's not much. The visibility was outstanding. And then we had a great TCS camera, because you never knew which kind of quality camera you were going to get. You had to clean everything out. It was just a perfect storm where I could see everything. And sure enough, I think it was about 104 miles, I was able to identify, and it was a Boeing 747. Wow. And I came up and I said, hey, negative, it's a Boeing 747. It was just launched out of Hanoi.
104 miles there.
Yeah, 104 miles ID, and they just said, okay, come on back. Boom, we just came on back. So held overhead and went down to recover. So. Yeah.